Heidi ho, mofos, and welcome to another episode of Creeps of the Crypt. I'm your host, John, along with my co-host,
Father Alan. Big ups, guys. Welcome back to another episode.
That's right, and we are going to talk about an episode that is kind of important in a way for some people of Tales from the Crypt. But before we get into that, even though we'll talk about this episode. This episode is supposedly important, and I want to know. See, the funny thing is, we got the comics, right? And these comics or these episodes that we watched, remember, because I was like, "Oh, the issue I got you should have that comic book issue in it," because I figured it would be up to that number. And you go, "No, it only goes up to 28." Yeah, they haven't released the new ones yet. I mean, not the new ones, but like this episode and the last episode are going to be in the next book that comes out, I think, in a few months. So that's why we haven't read it. So I can't, which sucks, because I want to know if this is actually, because, you know, most of them are loosely based on the actual books. Like when I was looking at the episode with, what was the one I was looking at? I looked up, The Thing from the Grave. It's interesting you brought that up because Fred Dekker wrote this one, and he wrote The Thing from the Grave and directed that one. But I looked it up in the comic, and it's in the comic, but it's different. It's more like in the 50s were kind of taboo. The girl was like interested in both guys, and she was dating both guys. And then one of them decided to propose to her, and he was a nice guy. Almost the same thing, kind of, except, you know, yeah, almost the same, except and they added a bunch of different things to modernize it and make her a model and do all these other things or whatever. You know, but it's almost the same, but there's no jewelry. It's just her love. That I remember. It's just his love for her brought him back to life, not an amulet or anything like that. That I can remember. I might have to look back on it, and I'll correct myself in the next episode when I do that. You know, if I'm wrong. But anyway, so speaking of, what was I talking about that I decided to bring this stupid shit up?
Well, we're gonna slowly get into the episode, but yeah, I mean, it's just more of talking about how some of these episodes of the show are loosely based on the comics. Some of them are, some of them don't have issues. Like the last one, Corman's Calamity, I don't think had his own story in any of these EC comics.
Oh, yeah, that we don't know. But it is based on the comic. So I don't know what the comic was, what the issue was about, because I can't find it online. But that one's also supposed to be in the next book. So, you know. I guess when that book comes out, we'll find out what it was actually, if it was loosely, or they just changed everything, you know? Because I would think maybe they didn't change everything. I don't know. We'll see. It's an interesting concept anyway of that one that they used over again. But this one, yeah. So I don't know. I don't have the book to know if this is, because basically this episode is the origin of the Crypt Keeper. That's why it's kind of an important episode, in my opinion. That's why I said it's considered, technically you can consider it an important episode because of that.
Right. Yeah. That was kind of like the kind of the ending twist of it. So we kind of get into it as we go ahead into the episode. Spoiler
to, I mean, nobody's gonna be listening to this if they haven't seen the episode already. So, you know, there's no reason to go through the whole thing. And in my opinion, let me just, I don't want to ruin my spoiler moment for this episode, but let me just say, this episode was released on July 3rd, 1990, and it was directed by Kevin Yagher. I think that's how I pronounce his name. And he, again, didn't direct anything. This is the only thing I think he ever directed. No, he directed one other thing after this, Hellraiser Bloodline. But this is, he was a makeup artist. The first thing he worked on was Friday the 13th Part 4, or the final chapter. And then he worked on Nightmare on Elm Street. And he worked on a lot of stuff, Bill and Ted, and a bunch of stuff. But this is the first thing he ever directed. So, and it was written by, obviously, Fred Dekker. So, why don't you tell us what this episode's about, besides the spoiler being that I said it was the origin already, but in just like everything else besides, you know, that part. Well, you can get to that part when you get to it, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the episode kind of takes place in a circus. It follows this character named Sickles, played by Stefan Gierasch. I don't know if I pronounced it right, but he's one of the main stars in this episode you see the most. And yeah, Louis Arquette, Patricia and David Arquette's dad is in this episode. He's been one of those actors you've seen in a bunch of different things. The one that always gets stuck in my head is him playing that Cardinal and Little Nicky. That's like one of the ones I remember him from. Yeah, it stars as the episode starts in the circus, and yeah, it follows this Sickles who kind of owns this two-headed guy, two-faced guy with a guy with two heads and two faces, right? And he ends up meeting a guy that got a hold of this ancient mummy, and after finding out that Louis Arquette's character Feely kind of knows that his sideshow attraction's dying, so there's not much of value to him at the circus for very long. So he kind of strikes up a deal with this Dr. Kling guy, played by Mark Rolston, that they try to make a 60-40 deal to showcase this mummy, and that's kind of the premise of this episode. That kind of kicks off a bunch of things that lead up to the ending and things related to the Crypt Keeper. It pretty much sums up the synopsis of this episode. It's pretty straightforward, simple episode, without getting too deep into it. But that's kind of the setup of the episode.
Yeah, the two-headed face guy's name is Enoch, and when he said every time, because the only Enoch I know of is Steve Buscemi from Boardwalk Empire. So whenever he goes he says some fucked up shit, Louis Arquette, about this guy. Like, I felt bad for Enoch in a sense. That's one thing I will say about this episode. But yeah, that's the gist of the episode. A guy has a two-headed...
we'll get into it. With Enoch.
Yeah, the guy has a two-headed fucking freak, and because it's a sideshow. It's one of these carnivals or freak, like American Horror Story, when they had a freak show, I think it was called, right?
It's one of those freak shows, circuses. Mm-hmm. People pay money to see different things, whether it be like the 400-pound lady, a guy, a woman with a mustache, which these days it seems normal, but
Yeah, I know. Well, there wouldn't be a
that's
woman.
how much I'll get into
It'd be the half man, half woman, and they would always have it'd be a woman, most likely, and then she'd just have like half of her. They do like the Two-Face thing, where split down the one side's a dress, one side's a suit, and then he's got a mustache one side. Oh, they would have the bearded lady, or sometimes they get lucky, because I remember when I was a kid, there used to be my grandmother used to watch the news, and there would be news reports from the Telemundo or whatever, and they'd be like, oh, this little kid was born in Mexico or Ecuador or somewhere, and he looks like a werewolf, and he's got hair all over himself, so
oh yeah, the wolf boy.
Yeah, so these, and there was one that had looked like a lizard, like Killer Croc. So they would take these people, and when they got older, and what else could they do? Everything else, it's fucked up. It is fucked up when you think about it. Today we'd be accepting of everybody and everything and all this shit, but these people, this was what they would do, especially back then, because I believe they didn't say what year it is, right? So I came off thinking the 1920s, but it could even be before that.
Right. There's no really distinct visual cue or anything besides just kind of what we have to go off of kind of the clothes they're wearing, and just kind of the vibe of the settings just very limited in this one. There's not a whole lot of different locations. It just mostly takes place in the circus, or moments outside of the circus, but that's really all about it. So I would say, yeah, somewhere around probably the 1900s at least. Yeah,
I would say, I feel like for me, I feel like it was the 1920s, because I feel like the Dust Bowl, people don't have a lot of money, or whatever, 1800s, whatever. But it's back in the old times for sure. And so yeah, it was a sideshow, freak show type deal. And you have Enoch there, and he's played by the director's brother. And I will say another thing, great. I did not see the version you saw, because I have this version, and it's pretty bad, the version I have. It's like originally aired version. They didn't do anything to spruce it up at all. So, but the special effects for him, for his, I guess is fantastic. I will say that is fantastic. And of course, the guy who directed it, he did the makeup effects for fucking Freddy and Jason. You know, he worked on Freddy 2, Freddy 3, and Freddy 4. You know, and I think an episode of Freddy's Nightmares and Friday the 13th Part 4. So he's a phenomenal special effects or makeup effects artist, and I would assume he did the work on this episode too, and his brother. And it was amazing to see the side of the other face actually move, like the eyes move and the mouth move, and I thought that was really good. I will say that. Though his skin color, I think they went like that because I don't think they had a choice. Like it probably made it look better. If they went lighter, it probably would have. I don't know. For some reason, that's what I feel. But I thought it looked great.
Yeah, they sort of kind of finagle it a little bit to go well with the lighting, because there's just a pretty solid lighting on him every time you kind of see him. So I think that's part of that little Hollywood trick to cover up some irregularities there. But yeah, it was really well done. They did a good job with the special effects on Enoch for sure. From what we get to see so far, and especially coming from first time director in special effects, it's similar to the some examples we had in the past with Lover Come Hack to Me. I think it was Tom Holland, right? He was a special effects guy, or who there was somebody that was involved. Special effects that directed an episode.
I forgot what episode it was too, but Tom Holland did Chucky and Fright Night.
Yeah, it was. I think it was Chris Wallace.
For Crying Out Loud, I think it was for Crying Out Loud.
He directed Till Death. It looks like. I mean, his biography mentioned special effects as well for The Fly and some other stuff.
Oh yes, that was Till Death. Wallace. I thought it was.
Yeah, Till Death. I mean, that's an example there where, a makeup guy directed an episode, which after rewatching it, if anyone had a chance to listen to that one, I think, I kind of turned my thoughts around that one. I wasn't crazy about it at first, but given our discussion of it and review of it, I turned around to it and some of the funny lines that were in that one.
Yeah,
we had a good time with that one.
I think also the guy from, if I'm not mistaken, Jeffrey Price from For Crying Out Loud. I think he was also like a special effects, or maybe not. Maybe I'm mistaken. Let me see. No, he was just.
I'll have to pull it up real quick. But I think he. Yeah,
no, he was just a writer. But
Jeffrey Price.
That's what they do in these episodes. They just take a bunch of people that. They're friends or whatever, and they give them these opportunities that they wouldn't normally have otherwise. And we talked about that before. And it's at least it's a little better than I would say a major problem in Hollywood is today, which is nepotism, where a bunch of people are in power that don't deserve to be in power. So I think it's better than that
for sure.
Yeah, but
for sure. I guess to go back to the episode, I mean, Louis Arquette plays like the ringmaster of the whole shebang, of whole business he's running of the circus freak shows. So it all leads up to the episode starting off with just him, presenting the attractions they have, and then we get to see Enoch for the first time. It makes me think of Arnold and Predator. You an ugly motherfucker.
You are one ugly son of a bitch. Or whatever
and
the fuck is it.
And that was like one of the better highlights of this episode is just the special effects on Enoch were really, really impressive for the time.
Yeah.
And still to this day too. I mean, it doesn't look bad at all. I don't really notice any imperfections with it. It works well for the episode and fits the vibe with it.
The only
so like I mentioned earlier, I mean Mr. Sickles, that I guess he owns Enoch or found him, and he's Louis Arquette's character finds out that he's dying because he tried to bribe the medical doctor they have for the circus, and so it's kind of free ride and hanging out or living in the circus. We don't know too much of the backstory on that, but it's basically kind of come to an end.
Mr. Sickles tries to not blackmail him, but like tell him because Enoch keeps escaping his cage, and Mr. Sickles is pissed about it. And then he said they have an argument, and he goes, "Well, basically, like Enoch is like he says sorry, whatever." But he goes, "But like, he wanted more money because he knows Enoch's gonna die." And Mr. Sickles is like, "You're not getting any more money." He goes, "We're the draw." And he goes, "Yeah, but he's dying. The doctor told me like, you don't have much time. I'm not gonna give you, So it was like, oh fuck. So then that's when the other dude, who's that other guy? What's his name?
He goes by like Dr. Kling or Dr. Zachary Kling. He just shows up in the episode in Sickles' tent, out of nowhere, and just proposes him an offer that he wants some kind of bet with some archaeologist, and then he has this like couple 1,000-year-old mummy, female mummy, in his possession. So they kind of strike a deal to, split the pay that he gets from just showcasing this thing along with Enoch. And Enoch kind of becomes infatuated with this mummy. Every time he sees her, that's like the only thing he's got to look forward to. Poor bastard. Just to see this dead mummy on display.
Yeah, that's one of the really sad aspects is because the episode is very short. It feels very short. It's a concise story. Not that many lines are being said really either. So the way that this guy made it work for it being his first directing anything is pretty amazing. And that's number one. Number two, also this script was probably less pages than the runtime actually was, because it's very little dialogues going on. Even there's one point where this little girl walks into the room, because Enoch doesn't talk. So this girl walks into the room and she looks at him and she likes Enoch for some strange reason, even though he tries to cover himself. And then she like looks at him and then she gives him a doll, and then she's called away. I don't know what the hell that was about. Like, besides the fact that she felt bad for him, like I did at times, because the guy treats him worse than you would treat a dog. Like literally, Mr. Sickles treats Enoch worse. So I don't know where he found this guy. But during that, right after that, he looks down after he's yelling at Enoch because Enoch was with the girl. The little girl gave him, because he's in a cage. By the way, I don't know if we said this. That's where he sleeps. It's a fucking cage, or where he's displayed at. So he keeps escaping that. Right. But Mr. Sickles, like I said, treats him worse than a dog and yelling at him. And then all of a sudden looks like at the bottom of the cage is newspaper, like you would have for like an animal in a shelter or something, or a bird in a fucking cage. Yeah. And then he looks and it says, mummy, rare mummy stolen from, or some bullshit like that. The mummy was stolen.
So he goes to confront the doctor about finding this article, and just obviously upset. It's like, oh, now he got more shit on his hands that he's trying to not deal with law enforcement if they end up finding this mummy that he's apparently stole. And then he talks about how there's, well, you mentioned earlier that the jewels on the mummy were worthless, but then he kind of confesses to him that they do seem to be worth something, but he tried to hire a guy to take it off, and then he found them the next morning just castrated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they have an argument about that, and then Sickles kills him with like a bush cutter. What do you call those? One of those
wedge cutters or something like that.
Yeah, one of those cutters they use to cut off the branches of trees or bushes and stuff like that.
Hedges. It's like the
hedges,
whatever. But so he brought up the castration. Anyway. So he kills him by accident, and then Mr. Sickles' idea to solve his problem is to blame it on Enoch.
To frame Enoch.
Yeah, to frame Enoch.
The bastard.
So he opens the gate and he goes, "Oh, Enoch, looks like you got out again. You been a bad boy or whatever." And then he goes to the mummy and he goes to take the fucking jewels off her neck. And as he's trying to do it, but he planted the hedge cutters or whatever the fuck, these big scissors. Right.
He gave him the Enoch in his cage with the door unlocked. Mm-hmm.
So then Enoch's looking
with that.
Wait, Enoch's looking like, why are you touching my woman? Like he gets like, like excited about it, right? So then
he gets really upset about it. Yeah.
So he sees the hedge cut
investment.
Yeah. So he sees the hedge cutters and he takes them, and you just see him go, and then he finally gets the necklace off of the mummy. And he goes, yes, he's looking at it. It's beautiful. He turns around. And then this is a callback Fred Dekker did, definitely. Because then again, he does say it in this episode. Because I thought it was kind of like, he does say you've been a naughty boy several times in this episode. So I thought it was like a callback to episode 1 that Fred Dekker wrote, which was All Through the House. Oh, no, episode 2, sorry. Where he goes, naughty or nice, right? So this time he goes, he says in the similar voice, Enoch actually speaks. This is the first time, the only time we hear him speak. He goes, "Naughty boy." He chops off his dick. But it was like, I guess he thought, that Mr. Sickles was trying to fuck his woman or the thing he admired.
I guess it's alluded he chopped his balls off or his dick off. Who knows? All we know is he got castrated, just like the guy told him that somebody else did when they try to go near that mummy.
What do you think happened with the mummy? With the other guy, like did she? Because after he starts screaming, her eyes open, so she's alive, right? And then it's all white though. It's pretty creepy. That's how I would assume. That's how I like them to do zombies, with just white eyes like that or black eyes. Those two colors. Sometimes they do it okay.
Yeah, those are way more way more scarier than just regular eyeballs opening up like that. So that was really nice little touch.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know. We don't really get a whole lot of backstory on how this mummy works. All we know is, all I can assume, once we get to the end of the episode is maybe it's just some sort of it's related to what the doctor said. I guess there's some sort of maybe sacrifice that's involved for the mummy to activate or do anything. So I guess in this case is Sickles' balls with a part of the ritual, I guess.
I don't know.
That ultimately, manifested something.
It's interesting because back in the 50s and stuff like this, that's when archaeologists were going to Egypt and digging up and finding, and there was always stories in the newspaper and things. Like in the 80s, always whoever was in charge. See, that's the nice thing, and whoever was working on projects in the 80s and the 90s and television, they always wrote stories. And they would write about what they grew up, like these guys, right? Like what they loved when they grew up, or sometimes they would get the chance to do that. And every time they read about the mummies, you'd always know, like that was a big thing for them growing up, was these mummies, like reading the articles and the news things. Like the mummies were very interesting, the whole concept of them. Even back, in the 50s, they had the movies, The Mummy and Frankenstein. You know what I mean? Like, so the mummy was like a big deal back in. Now we don't think nothing. Oh, a mummy comes back. What's it gonna do? It's fucking, But back then it was, and then it is kind of creepy when she opened her eyes. And just to think, this mummy. But why would she fall in love with Enoch? What is she like? Also, it's another thing. Like, is she cognitive? Even though she's that like necklace keeps her dead, mummified, right? But is she cognitive? She knows that he's there. Is she like sending him like a connection? It doesn't need to be explained. Just hey, she was. I guess I don't know.
I don't think it needs to be explained because the episode didn't really bother to explain it either. So we're just gonna have to go with
because
that's the chain of events that happened. So
I would think that Mr. Sickles should have been saying something more like, "I have to get rid of this." He didn't say he's gonna get rid of her. Like that's evidence. He's gonna get in trouble for it. So even if he blames the fucking, you know what I mean? Even if he blames Enoch for killing her, he has to get rid of that guy. He has to get rid of the mummy. So he should have said that. I don't remember or recall him saying that in the episode, but he should have said something along the lines of, "I have to get rid of this," and then have like another tool, like he was gonna cut her or whatever. And that's when Enoch gets pissed.
That would have been better to have done. That way we got a sense as to why Enoch acted out the way he did. Because all we really know and the only really build up and set up to that whole scene was just him being emotional with seeing the mummy and infatuated with the mummy. So that's all really we got on that. I think that's part of the problem with this episode. As much as I think I initially, I didn't mind it at first, but then when you think about it, it kind of slightly
you liked
falls
it
apart a bit. I did.
Wait, let's get to the end. So Louis Arquette is saying, doing another presentation, and then he opens the curtains and Enoch's not there. And he's like, "Oh fuck, that little fucking bastard got away." Then he goes, "Oh, this is the real main attraction. This one is another side thing."
Oh, right.
And he goes, "The mummy," and then he opens it. There's fucking Mr. Sickles dead inside the fucking tomb. The tomb's gone. The mummy's gone. Enoch's gone. What the fuck's going on? And everyone starts screaming,
with the hedge clippers and it's still attached to him.
Still attached to him. So then they go a year later, and that's when the police come and says, "You had trouble." This is just dialogue wasting time right? Like,
Yeah,
and then
pretty much.
they takes him
Like,
to a
we came
cave.
back here.
Yeah, takes Mr. Feely, or is that his name? Ernest Feely. Yeah, takes Mr. Feely
Yeah.
to a cave and shows him Enoch in the cave. He says a little boy came in here and got scared of what he saw and came and ran to the police. So he shows him Enoch dead because Enoch was dying, and the mummy next to Enoch. They're like together, like they died together, you know.
Yeah, like laying down and with his arm around one of his arms around her, and
and
you just
happy.
hear like sound effects of flies.
Yeah.
I guess it's they indicate he was dead.
And he was smiling though when he died. And it's like those things you did have like the volcanoes that kill people, and you see the two people holding each other as they died. You know, they like preserved them or some like, the lava preserved them somehow or whatever the fuck, right? So they have that throughout history in Italy. I think there's a place like that. So yeah, so hold on a second here. Yeah, so then Mr. Feely is like because there's a smell, and he runs out, and then all of a sudden the camera pans, and then you see at another end of the cave, away from the mother, is a baby with no nose, and it's the crypt, and that also looked fantastic. I have to say that baby looked great for
that one too. Yeah,
great. That was pretty fucking good, and it was kind of cute. If it had a nose, it would be cute, but the skin is, the skin is between both. Maybe that's why they went with that color for Enoch, because it's between the mummy and Enoch's skin tone, and deviates a little bit away from what the Crypt Keeper looks like now, but not much. Right? It's close to the Crypt Keeper's skin, but it's like it looks like it's alive, and the Crypt Keeper is obviously dead or whatever the fuck, you know, like a skeleton. So this one looks like which I always wondered what happened. Like that would be good if they ever showed a story later on in life. Like did the Crypt Keeper end up fucking in the sideshow? But nonetheless, that's the twist. That's the ending. And that's what this episode is kind of important for, is because of that. Besides that, you'll give your review, but I will say one thing to everybody out here. Alan loved this episode. When we first started talking about this, he's like, I love that one. He loved it so much, and I was like, no, I don't like it. I do like it a little more now than I originally did. I saw it twice already, and I do like it. There are things, again, when you do these, when you're doing it not just to watch it, you're doing it and you're looking for things. I found things that interested me. The makeup effects were great, and exactly. It was just that was basically the only really thing that was great about this, both for the baby and for Enoch. I thought those were the best aspects about this entire episode. The directing, the fact that he's a first-time director, I thought that was did a pretty good fucking job in that regard too. But besides that, it's just not for me. But so what do you think about it now?
I like it. I like it less than I did the first time I saw it. More of the reason why I enjoyed it the first time is because it was an episode that it kind of adjusted and made me think about it differently when the ending happened. It subverted my expectations. Is what I was trying to get at, and finding out that this is a origin story of the Crypt Keeper. That was pretty cool, and more so being impressed with the special effects of the puppet that they used for the baby Crypt Keeper at the end. So that mainly was it. That was mainly the reason why I liked it. Rewatching it again, I don't really like it as much, but I would say it's not the worst episode of the season. That's going to be coming up on the next one we review. It's not the worst episode. There's definitely a lot worse ones we've seen this season. I think my problem with it was I just feel like they could have done something a little bit more interesting with at least the origins of the Crypt Keeper. They could have at least added a little bit more substance leading up to maybe some sort of explanation on how the mummy works, and like you said, was it cognitive the whole time? Did it just need to be some sort of ritual had to happen for it to come alive, or what? Because we don't really know other than what the doctor told him, and thus what we heard is that messing with the artifact at first will leave you dead with no balls, I guess. So that's all really we got
That's why.
regarding the setup of the mummy.
That's why I'm assuming.
Otherwise, it was directed very competently. It didn't really waste your time. It was pretty gets to the point. It's a short, kind of, it feels like a short episode because not a whole lot happens. So I respect it for that, because at least with this, there's things that happen, and the ending kind of makes up for it just a bit. At least kind of finding out that, oh, that's cool. I didn't expect that. That was a origin story, the Crypt Keeper, rather than just the episode ending with a zombie coming back from the dead, like the thing from the grave. Is just, that's when I would separate. That kind of what separates the two from not being on the same level, at least ratings wise, that I'm gonna end up giving this one. So did you want to go into our ratings a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead. What's your rating?
I'm gonna say I'd say it's a good solid 3 out of 5. Not anything less than that. I liked it for the special effects are good. Didn't waste your time a lot. There wasn't a whole lot of BS to get to the ending. It was a bit shorter. Wish that they kind of gave us a little bit more meat to the bone of the, for it being an origin story. So the Crypt Keeper, it's kind of lackluster, but I'm curious to know how the comic story tells this.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll kind of, if we ever find out about it, we'll definitely bring it up. But I think they could have done something a little bit more interesting, for especially it being kind of on a somewhat an important episode, because at least we get an idea of the origin story of the Crypt Keeper. I think they could have done a little bit more with it, but it just didn't feel like they didn't want to go too deep into it. It's just like everything else on the season and the one past, they just tell the story as best they can with what the original comic is based out of, and just kind of go from there. Sometimes you'll get some interesting gems, but it's like what I always say, I don't try not to look into it too deep, but I guess given what we were given, that's kind of where I'm going to stick with, is a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I was going to go a little lower, but I think 3 is fair, because I think I really liked Corman's Calamity, the last episode, and I don't think it's as bad as Judy, You're Not Yourself Today.
No,
and I do like the makeup. I think the makeup and a first-time director, I'm giving it that leniency. I think that's a plus, and the acting is good. The only thing is there's no standout besides Enoch, but he doesn't talk. So there's nobody that stands out in the episode. Like, this episode feels like I could watch this one with the one with Joey Pants, right? Back to back, because they're both about carnival barkers and carnies, right? But like in that carnival, that carny was Robert Wall, and he was great. He was like, gather around. Like, he was really good at being like this guy, Arquette's father. The only thing he produced is Patricia Arquette in his whole life. Like, I don't think he's a good actor. The best thing he's ever done was produce her, or contribute to the production of Patricia Arquette. Like, the rest of them suck too. Rosanna's not that great. David, or is his name David? I don't even know his fucking name. Yeah, David Arquette. He's only got Scream, and that's it. I mean, I'm ready to rumble. Yeah, fuck that. So I give it a 3 out of 5. I think it was nothing that stands out besides the special effects and the fact that he's a first-time director. Sadly, he didn't do anything after this besides Hellraiser, Bloodline. I'm surprised they didn't let him direct more things, because this was pretty competently directed. I think he directs another episode in later seasons. He directs one more episode in season 4. So let's see how that one is. Maybe that one sucked. That's why he didn't do any more. But really good. I think the special effects are really good, and the episode is okay. It's not terrible. It's just okay.
It's
episode.
not. It's one of those. It's just one of those ones you watch once. It's that was cool. That's something different they did. We got to. I didn't expect it to be origins of the Crypt Keeper, but that's all. It's kind of as much of the high as it goes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really one that I would probably watch again. But it's weird. It's weird because even though we're not talking that highly of it or crazy about it, it's average. I would say it's average. It's not bad like other ones we watched previously.
Yeah.
That's kind of about it. It's average, but it's we give it the score that we do just because it had some good special effects, and we got to at least get an idea of the Crypt Keeper. It was something out of the box. I didn't expect.
Yeah,
first,
I mean,
so
if other people didn't,
was cool that they did that.
If other people didn't know that, I think that's if you listen to this and you didn't watch the episode, I'm sorry, but like if people probably have, most likely, but that's the best part for them. You know, they're gonna they'll like that. They'll say yes, it's a good episode. It's a 3. That too. You know, whatever. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, it's because of a slight fan. I guess slight fan service in a way.
Yeah. And then Crypt Keeper, we cut to him and he's crying and he goes, "Oh, sorry, kiddies, but this story just makes me go to all pieces. Ah. I was a cute little terror type, though, wasn't I? As for Enoch and Myrna," oh, the mummy's name is Myrna, "I guess you figured out by now where I get my good looks. Old Two-Face was my daddy, and the mummy was my mommy." I can't do his laugh.
Yeah,
I used
good.
to, when I was a kid, I could do his laugh. It was pretty good when I was a kid. But yeah, so
I felt like his puppeteering or whatever, it was really on point on this one. I felt like he really moved around a lot. Really, you could see his facial expressions a lot
yes,
more.
in this one, yes,
it was really like a lot, very more. What's the word? He's very more expressive.
Yes, and I thought that too.
Movements.
Yeah. Yes, I thought so too. I was about to say, I forgot. I was going to say, I didn't write anything down this time. But yes, he was at the end. I'm going like, oh, maybe this is actually the launching for him to be more whatever he becomes. Because honestly,
it really does showcase his talent as a special effects guy.
Yes.
On top of what potentially could be, a pretty competent director. I will say, looking ahead, I won't delve into it too much, but looking ahead, I know you mentioned he directed another episode. I will say I do remember this episode he directed, the next one that's going to be coming up in, well, it's going to be a while to talk about it, but it'll be in season 4. And that one was, I actually liked that episode. From what I remember, my opinion could change, but I remember liking that a little bit more than this one. So I look forward to talking about that when we get to it.
Yeah, and Fred Dekker wrote this episode, and he writes another one that I don't remember seeing ever, to be honest. So when I do see it, which is the meme, what the fuck is this? The Joe Pesci meme?
Joe Pesci.
I don't think I ever
personality episode.
I think the only time I ever saw that episode was when it first aired on TV, and I don't have that season on DVD. I don't think so. So maybe I do and I don't remember it, but honestly, right now I don't remember it. But anyway. So that was Lower Berth. That's our rating. We both gave it a 3. I think that's fair. Yeah, and that's it. That's all we got for you guys this week. You guys should definitely go check out GhostCrusadersMerch.com. We got a cool T-shirt out. It's from the ventriloquist dummy. It's called Family Ties. Just go on GhostCrusadersMerch.com. Look up T-shirts or hoodies. You could get a hoodie or a T-shirt or whatever. A sticker, I think, is even available for that. It's badass. Check it out. Click that one. Or get the T-shirt from Dead Right with whatever that guy's name was. I forgot his name.
Jeffrey Tambor.
No, not his name. I mean the character's name. Charlie Marno.
Charlie Marno.
Yeah, yeah. So, or you could get another T-shirt with Charlie Marno on it. So you get Charlie Marno or Mr. Ingalls and Morty. Those are the 2 shirts you could pick up over there. They're pretty cool, I think. Yeah, so go check out GhostCrusadersMerch.com. You can follow us on X at Creeps of Crypt. Go to X and type in at Creeps of Crypt, and you can find us on there and follow us where we post this. And you can go listen to us on any streaming device, I think, and also on YouTube or Rumble. Do you want to plug anything?
Other than like you mentioned, I'm on X as well. I'll be under Splinter 47. So if anything, follow that account and check out my memes that I post. Even though I don't really post on X that often, really.
Yeah, I'm not posting.
I feel like less ever since Twitter changed its name.
Yeah, but
that's another story for another day. But yeah, guys, check that out. That's a really cool design that you came up with for. Yeah, that episode with the ventriloquist's dummy, that one's a really, really solid one. And I'm actually rocking the Dead Right shirt right now as we record.
I wore it the other day.
Definitely pick one up.
Yeah, I wore it the other day when I
Yeah.
was doing my Freddy's Nightmare video. But anyway, yeah, so that's the episode today, ladies and gentlemen. We will talk to you guys next time.
Peace. Take care, guys.
Just peace. I think I ended the last one with me going, what?
Did I?
Like when you did, like, when you said something after peace, I think I go, what? Like I think I ended like that. I don't remember. But yeah, anyway, yes, as he said,